Ironically, the best thing about the new Virtual Boy accessories might not be that you can play Virtual Boy games on them, but now that Switch 2 owners and those who never owned Labo VR can finally play all those Labo VR games they weren't able to before, such as Breath of the Wild, which is my favorite way of playing the game, Captain Toad, Super Mario Odyssey, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and even some third-party games. But, as it turns out, one of these devices may have a slight advantage over the other, and shockingly, it's a cheaper one made of cardboard. And that's because, unlike the more expensive model and its stand, you're not locked into place with the cardboard one, allowing you to freely turn your head to move the camera, which isn't only more immersive, but is basically required for several of the games. Such as in Super Mario Odyssey's VR mode, where you have to turn your head to move the camera, which effectively makes it impossible to play on the plastic version of the Virtual Boy. Now, luckily you're not missing out on much, as it's a short, maybe 10-minute experience, and it's not even my favorite of the bunch, but it's still unfortunate all the same. Although there is at least a handheld option if you want to play it that way, but it's kind of missing out on the entire point of it being VR in the first place. The VR mode in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate has a similar problem, in that you have to turn your head to move the camera. But since the camera's already zoomed out pretty far, and you can zoom it out even farther on the options screen, you can largely mitigate this problem. But weirdly, this is the only VR mode of the bunch that basically has no actual stereoscopic depth, which essentially defeats the point of it being VR in the first place, as it just looks like you're looking at a giant flat screen. Now, in better news, one of my favorite VR experiences being Captain Toad fares remarkably well on the plastic version of the Virtual Boy. And that's because, even though it does have full-on head tracking for camera control, it also supports a right stick for the camera controls too, at least for 3 of the 4 stages. The only major issue you'll run into is in the 4th and final stage, being the first-person minecart sequence, as although the right stick still works here, it can only move the camera horizontally and not vertically, which could make aiming a bit tricky in a few instances, but you can probably just tilt the Virtual Boy a little bit to make up for it. And it is so worth it, because this mode is fantastic. It really feels like you can just reach out and touch Toad at points. And even though it's short, it's a total blast the entire way. I just wish the entire game supported this mode, as it's that good. And that's a perfect segue into our final game, being Breath of the Wild, because you can play the entire thing in VR. In fact, I did, and it's my favorite way of playing this game. And I'm happy to say that even though this game does have a form of head tracking, it is not essential, as the right stick can still control the camera just as it always has, meaning that the plastic version of the Virtual Boy will have no problems at all with this game. In fact, it might even be preferable given the stand could make it more comfortable to play, especially for hours on end. And oh my god, is this mode amazing. In fact, I found it to be transformative for the experience, as I enjoyed it so much more in VR than I did on my normal TV. It gives everything such an immense sense of depth, like looking up at a giant statue or down into a valley. It just feels real in a way that it didn't before, and I freaking adored it. And guess what? Breath of the Wild, Captain Toad, and Super Mario Odyssey all look better than ever in VR on Nintendo Switch 2, thanks to the updates that all of them got that allow them to run at an even higher resolution. And in Breath of the Wild's case, at 60 frames per second too. Yes, even in VR, and it is glorious. So, what do you think? Was it surprising to find out that the cardboard version might actually be better than the plastic one, even though it's only a quarter of the cost, or maybe because thereof? But there you have it, everyone, a quick rundown on the games you should definitely check out with either of these headsets, and you definitely should if you have them. So with that, thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll catch you later. And click the subscribe button if you haven't already. Bye!